When it comes to luxury watches, are you a fan of two-tone? Why? Are you cheap? There's a belief in the watch world that if you can't afford all gold, you shouldn't go two-tone. Now, the reason why that exists is because, two-tone is kind of like the halfway point. And in life, you don't really want to go halfway. You kind of want to either go all the way to the right or all the way to the left. So some people would kind of suggest to maybe just go stainless steel instead of the two-tone, or if you can afford it, then you go all gold. But the two-tone, a lot of people don't agree that, you should stop in that middle ground area. To the watch purists though, they believe that two-tone is a nice middle ground and is not too flashy. When you have a two-tone piece, it's not so in your face. So two-tone appeals more to the watch enthusiast or connoisseur. Now that we have both sides of the spectrum kind of laid out, we're gonna go back to the argument at the end of the video. Let's get into the video. In front of me in the box, we have 5 distinct Rolex two-tone models, ranging from 9,000 to 30,000. So one thing I want to kind of talk about is Rolex's gold. Now, Rolex mines their own gold in-house. Other brands do this, but some of the higher end brands like AP, for example, their gold to me doesn't look as nice. Rolex's gold to me is some of the best in the industry. So starting here from the right, we have one of my favorite Rolexes, and it is the Rolex Datejust 2 Wimbledon. That's the nickname for it. The reference is a 116333. These go for around $11,500. Now this watch to me is one of the coolest Rolexes you can buy right now. We talked about the stainless steel version last week. This is the two-tone. It has that beautiful kind of green Roman numeral dial. And what can we say, guys? It's one of those Rolexes that it's very unique looking, but also classic at the same time. So moving on to the next watch, we have the legendary Submariner. Of course, guys, this is the watch that everyone needs to have in their collection. This one, of course, is in two-tone. This particular reference is a 116613 ceramic model. These trade for around $13,000. What more can we say, guys? It's a Submariner. I mean, it's an icon, it's a legendary watch. And I personally prefer the blue version, but this black version is pretty cool. But if it was my money, I would go with the royal blue. Moving on to the middle of the box, we have this really cool vintage Rolex GMT in two-tone. Now this particular one is from 1991 and the reference is 16713. And they go for around $9,300. So this is a vintage piece. It has the old school Rolex bracelet. It doesn't have the modern ceramic features or the new bracelets. So it kind of has like an old school feeling, but I mean, that's part of the charm, guys. I mean, this is a 1991 piece. And if you have a vintage Rolex, this is one I personally would add. Now, if we move on to the other side of the box, we have the kind of the more contemporary version of this piece, which is a Everose Gold or the Chocolate, whatever the nickname is, two-tone. The reference for this is a 126711. These go for around $18,500. They're over retail right now. This is a beautiful, beautiful watch. This kind of color scheme goes perfectly with the gold. And this is one of these pieces that I personally would also want to have in my collection. And moving on to the last piece, we have this, let's say a funky Datejust. We could call it that. This is kind of a custom-made Datejust, modified very heavily. The reference for this one is 126333. This is a Datejust 41 that's been just iced out. I mean, these go for around $27,000, somewhere around that price range. And I mean, not my taste, definitely. You could probably find a buyer for this, but it's just not my style. But it has Arabic numerals. It's fully iced out. The bracelet is just filled with diamonds and baguettes. So it's a cool piece for some people, just not personally my style. Back to the argument that we kind of introduced in the beginning of the video. Are you cheap for not going all gold and sticking to two-tone? So I personally disagree with that kind of mentality. I personally love two-tone. Now, I own a two-tone sub, blue dial with diamonds, and that's one of my favorite pieces, a vintage piece. And from this box here, I mean, hell, I love pretty much almost all the watches here. I would grab this Wimbledon, I would grab, the sub, maybe in blue though, and even the GMT in rose gold. So I personally love two-tone. As an enthusiast or kind of a passionate watch collector, I think there's a spot for both gold and two-tone. So if I had, say, a budget of $100,000, if I could afford the gold, I would still probably buy a two-tone piece at some point in the collection. To me, it just makes sense. It's a natural progression of watch collecting. You want to kind of have a version of everything. A lot of people think that, oh no, if you buy the two-tone, you're kind of cheaping out. I don't really agree with that. I mean, the way I look at it is this way. If you are a person who has enough money to own multiple cars, you buy your sports car for the weekend and you buy your daily driver, maybe a Honda, then on the weekend you have your Porsche. That's the way I kind of see it for watches in general. You have the stainless steel for your daily, you have the two-tone, maybe you want to be a little flashy, but not too flashy. Then on the weekend, you want to bust out the all gold piece and kind of show off a little bit, you can do that. So to me, that's my perspective. It's not necessarily a, cheaping out kind of idea. Coming from a business background, when I invest my money into something, I want to know that my money's there. So with that in mind, let's talk about two-tone and how they hold their value. So on average, in the Rolex market, stainless steel tends to do the best. It tends to hold the best or even go up more frequently in the market. Two-tone historically doesn't necessarily go down, but it doesn't really go up in a rapid pace. It kind of either stays the same for a long time or maybe goes up slightly and then maybe dips back down. So that's something to consider. If you want a two-tone piece, you are getting a more unique version of that legendary watch you want. Like for example, this Datejust Wimbledon. You might see a bunch of stainless steels where this is a little more, it's a little different. It's not like everyone else has a stainless, not everyone else has a two-tone. So that's something to consider. But there's a con to that where, your value for the watch may not really go up in the future. But if you're an enthusiast like me, you probably don't care about that. You just care about the look and about the fact of having a two-tone. So you probably won't really care that much, but it is something to consider. Today, guys, we discussed two-tone Rolex watches. We talked about both sides of the argument. We have people that think that if you don't go all gold, you're kind of chipping out. And then we have the enthusiast side, which is no, you should probably own everything. So like I said in the video earlier, I personally believe that you should own everything. I think a two-tone piece belongs in every collection. Every watch collector's dream is to have every kind of piece. So I think it makes sense to me. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. And guys, let me know what you want to see on this channel. So I'll see you guys in the next video.